Hello Electroheads, Tish here, your go-to girl for electric car reviews. Everybody has fond memories of those cool mums growing up which owned 7-seater cars which could take everyone on adventures. In fact, I've come dressed as a 90s mum.
I'm not like a regular mom, I'm a cool mom.
Call it a homage to the Renault Scenic or the Ford Galaxy. But nowadays, with the whole industry being electrified, when it comes to choosing a 7-seater electric car, well, your choice is limited. You either have to pick between a really expensive Tesla Model X, which you can barely even buy,
I've got nothing left.
or you have to go for something from the Stellantis group, which is basically just a van. Well, Kia have finally bought out a car which is going to make buying an electric 7-seater a joy. This is the Kia EV9, but it goes against everything Electroheads stands for. So, will I like it? Well, hopefully that's what we're going to find out by the end of the video. So if that sounds good, then please keep watching. And if you like electric car reviews and electric mobility, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button.
Kia will offer 3 grades for UK customers: Air, GT Line and GT Line S. All models come with a 3-row 7-seat layout as standard and feature a 99.8 kilowatt-hour long-range battery pack. The Air model starts at 64,995 and offers the highest potential driving range, with a single charge capable of covering up to 336 miles. Moving up to the GT Line provides a dual-motor all-wheel drive powertrain for enhanced performance, with a range of up to 308 miles. The range-topping GT Line S variant, starting at 75,995, includes a 6-seat interior layout with swivel and adjustable second-row seats for added comfort and versatility. So, even the starting price of the Air is pretty steep, despite Kia insisting they're still a cost-effective brand, but that £76,000 price tag would beg to differ. But Kia has promised to offer high levels of equipment, and all versions get the 800-volt ultra-fast charging technology, capable of topping up the 9 from 10 to 80% in as little as 25 minutes when plugged into a 350 kilowatt high-powered charger.
So what do I mean when I say it goes against everything Electroheads stands for? Well, on this channel we do try to focus on micromobility. We know that large electric cars pose their own issues, whether that be environmentally or safety-wise. However, why am I here today if that's the case? Well, people do still need these large cars. People need 6-seaters and 7-seaters. They need these mobility options. And for once, we're not just taking a look at an inflated 5-seater car. It's a car that actually has a purpose, and it kind of gets away with being large because it fits that purpose. But exactly how big is the Kia EV9 inside? Because that's the most important part. Inside of the EV9, and they've achieved a really good feeling of space. It's nice and light and airy, even in this dark finish. You've also got a nice solid center console, which is big enough to have both your arm and your passengers, so you're not going to be fighting over elbow space. But where space really matters is in the back, so we'll check that out in a moment. But first, let's finish off by talking about the cabin of the EV9, because it feels very familiar. You've got the same steering wheel setup, you've got the same 2 dual screen setup, but then there are subtle differences compared to, for example, the EV6. The gear selector is no longer on the center console, it's now behind the steering wheel, like on a lot of other electric products. I would assume the main reason for doing that is because then you can put extra storage in the center console. For instance, on this version, you've got a slide out section, which then houses 2 cup holders. And I love when Kia do this. You have retractable cup holders. So you can pop them away and then you can use it as extra storage. It's very handy. As well as removing the gear selector from the center console, they've also removed a lot of the buttons as well. Buttons for your heated seats and heated steering wheel can now be found on the door, which I'm not too sure I'm a fan of. They were much better when they were on the center console. But there is a new thing on the center console, and that's this little black dot here. Now, Kia can't actually confirm what this is, but I've recently driven the new Genesis GV60 with fingerprint recognition. So I can imagine that is what that's for. The media screen is a very similar setup to in other Kias, but you now have a dedicated climate control section, which kind of sits in the middle. You do have a few physical dials for turning up and turning down the temperature, but this is really convenient for the driver and is easy to hit when you're driving. The buttons that I'm not too sure about, however, are these ones, which almost set into the dashboard. They're very, very similar to on the Nissan Ariya. However, they seem to be a little bit difficult when you press them. If you actually press on to the button itself, it's not really very responsive. You almost have to press down below to actually get it to work. Now, this may just be a pre-production issue, but what's wrong with physical buttons? There are two different configurations that you can get in your EV9. You can either get a 6-seater, like I have here, or you can also get the 7-seater, which is more of a conventional bench across the middle. If you go for this 6-seater version, these chairs actually swivel all the way round to face the rear passengers, which is very, very cool. Unfortunately, I can't test that out because this is a pre-production model and these seats don't swivel, but they do have a ton of movement in them. They can slide all the way forward or all the way back to give you extra room for either your middle seat passengers or the people sitting in the back. You've also got a ton of amenities back here. You've got armrest for both of the passengers. You've got blinds on the doors, heated and cooled seats, and you've got those handy USB ports, which are in the backs of the seats. But what is space like right in the back of the EV9? Space right in the back is actually really good. Yes, okay, if this seat is in a seating position which is moved a little bit further back, then knee room will be a little bit tight. But headroom is fantastic, and that's definitely down to the boxy shape. It's far better than combustion cars like the Volkswagen Tiguan Allspace, which is really, really cramped in the back. You also get a nice amount of amenities. Those luxuries aren't just for the front seat passengers. You've got cup holders, you've got another USB-C port, and the quality is still very, very good. Lastly, one of my favourite features is you can actually recline these seats quite far back, so they'd be fantastic for taking a nap.
Cookie cutter cars is something that Kia was keen to avoid with the current lineup, of which there will be up to 14 new EVs by 2030. Stark contrast to the EV6's sharp lines and aerodynamic stance, the 9 has a far more boxy shape, with tall bonnet and flat tailgate design. The rear wraparound LED lights look a bit like the ones you'll find on the Volvo XC90.
So why is the front of the EV9 so massive? Well, it may be because it gets some under the bonnet storage. You get 52 litres of storage if you go for the all-wheel drive car, or you get up to 90 litres if you go for the two-wheel drive. Yeah, that's not exactly loads, is it? That is enough to store a pack of cables, but it's hardly the nearly 300 that's offered under the bonnet of the Lucid Air.
Do better.
It seems that a running theme on the EV9 is go big or go home. These wheels are absolutely massive, 21 inches. However, they are on some energy efficient tyres, and you've got an aerodynamic design to the alloy wheel. So they may be big, but they've been maximised to give you the most amount of range.
The EV9 is just over 5 metres in length, making it around 200mm longer than the existing largest car, the Sorento. It's actually around the same size as a Range Rover. Where the EV6 was all about elegance and style, the 9 is more focused on maximising interior space.
The EV9 gets big brownie points from us here at Electroheads because it gets the vehicle to load system, and that means that you can send power from the car to an electrical device. Like in this instance, we're charging this electric bike, which is very, very handy. But it's not just fitted with vehicle to load, it's also fitted with vehicle to grid. Boot space is extremely generous. When you have the 5th and 6th seat put up, then this gives you 331 litres. There's also a little bit of storage underneath to pack away your parcel shelf and some other items. When you put the rear seats down, which is very easily done using these tags, you then get a whopping 828 litres. Plus, if you needed even more space than that, you can also use the buttons on the side of the boot, and that will drop your other seats. So all of this practicality, space, equipment, range doesn't exactly come cheap. But actually, when you stack it up next to its rivals like the Volvo EX90 or the Tesla Model X, then the price of this car actually looks pretty affordable. And I think it's going to be a great option for people who need 6 or 7-seater electric cars. Plus, we know that we can rely on that charging capability and also the driving range that Kia claim because of their proven ability through the rest of their range. I actually really quite like the EV9. Yes, it wouldn't exactly be for my needs, but I think for people needing those larger cars, it's a great option. But of course, let us know, what do you think? Pop it in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed the video, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Until next time, Electroheads, see you later.